Hey y'all, hey, it's a new episode of Bonafide Her Podcast featuring Amiah Simmons of Alabama A&M Women's Basketball. Hey girl, hey.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We blessed to be alive, so all day. So,
Damn.
so let's get started. So Amiah, we gotta get to this. So how would you explain your journey to where you are right now?
It's been it's been a journey, and everybody has their own story, and I had just made a reel about this. Yeah, so it wasn't the easiest route, but I had to work really hard to get where I am now. And in high school, I was definitely like under recruited. And so that was difficult. I only had one offer to Biola University. So I went there first to a D2, but I really wanted to play a D1. So after my first year, I ended up transferring to a D1. So that's why I'm here at Alabama A&M now. And this is my second season. So I'm just very grateful to be here.
Yay, that's awesome. So how did you so why Alabama A&M in the first place?
I was just weighing all of my options, and it was really nice, like being in the transfer portal, just seeing all these schools that actually wanted me, which is way better than high school. And so I was just weighing my options and just speaking with all the coaches. I really knew that Coach Richards here really wanted me, and she would be in my best interest. She would call me all the time, and that's yeah. So it's definitely important when you're looking for schools to go somewhere that really wants you, because at the end of the day, that's who's going to play you. So I'm really happy with my decision. Also, I thought it'd be cool to go to HBCU. Um,
Yes.
yeah, like I've really never been around Black people my whole life. Like I'm half and half. I'm Black and white. So I was like, this would be a great opportunity, to get more culture for myself. So yeah, it's been a great ride so far.
Did y'all have your homecoming already?
Yes, and our homecoming game was sold out. It was crazy.
Woo! Let them know. So,
Yes.
speaking of which, especially since you are playing at the SWAC conference, so my question is, how would you describe the conference in the competition wise?
Everyone is really athletic, and that's like the biggest difference. Like, I feel like before my athleticism was like definitely one of my advantages, but here, like, everyone is super athletic and competitive and just goes hard. So, the main thing that we have to focus on as a team is executing.
That's awesome because I just realized too when I people in the HBCU sports, they go hard. The students like they go hard for them. Like they just get into it. Do you see that a lot in at the Alabama A&M games for y'all?
Yes. Yes. Okay, so I was just at an intramural game, and that game was heated. Like everyone was so you would have thought it was the men's team playing. Like everyone is so passionate, and it's fun here. Like that's how the whole atmosphere is at the football games, at our games, even people come out and are just fired up. So it's great. There's definitely that passion here.
So what would you say so far? How would you hope to see this season would be for you in the outcome way?
I really hope that we can make it to the SWAC conference championship. That would be a great goal for us and to win it all. I think it would be really cool to get into March Madness. And I just hope that our team can just create that chemistry and gel with the returners and the new players. Yeah, and I really think that we have a chance to do that this year.
That's awesome. Like, I could definitely see you guys going so far. Like, I'm super proud of you. Hello, hey. And just seeing you grow within your game and, girl, the highlights that I seen from one of the pages, I was like, yes, girl, she is a bucket. Hello. And so how would you say, and with the NIL era is currently happening still, how would you say that NIL in ways changed your life as a student athlete?
Honestly, I'm so grateful for NIL. Like, it's just brought so many opportunities for me and just like mainly growing the connections. And of course, yes, the money is nice too. Like, I'm able to pay for my car payment and everything and just extra stuff on the side. But creating those connections and learning how to talk and communicate with other like brands and businesses, it's just like a great skill to have. And I'm really grateful like that we're able to have NIL in college now.
That's awesome. What would you say? So, what were some of the brands that you were able to that you got a chance to collaborate? And what would you say were some of your favorites that you like just was so like, oh my gosh, I loved it, enjoyed it.
Recently, I would say the PSD deal. I really enjoyed that and shooting content for it. Also for Snickers, that was another one I'm working on right now. And then a new company that's about to launch. So yeah, it's a lot of good things underway.
Would you say you have like say a set standard for like if say companies or brands want to contact you? Do you have like a set standard of like what you're looking for, like the price wise, as well as like okay, like just a set standard when they message you or contact you about doing brand deals?
Yeah, like as I've gotten a more understanding of NIL as it being my third year in college, it's definitely has gone up, and with my following, so now my agent really helps me out with a lot of those. But yeah, he really emphasizes that it's based on building the connection and long term. Like you don't want to just do a deal with somebody for the one time. You really want to build that connection.
And how important when it comes to connections is like to you let the viewers know how important connections are when it comes to as a student athlete as well, like outside of sports and in sports.
Yeah, so like once you meet somebody and just have that connection, you have a good impression on them, you never know what can happen down the road. You can get a job, like anything could happen just from knowing people. So I have confidence in that. And the more you just get connected with other people, doing the NIL empowerment program has been really nice. Just learning more about NIL and just possible careers. And yeah, just really taking everything in and learning.
Is there a brand, would you say, what would you say is like some top three or top five brands that you hope to like collaborate within the NIL deal and outside of it?
Hmm. Um,
If you
see.
had to choose.
I would like to, hmm, I would say like skin products or probably hair, something essential that I use in my everyday life that I could just easily, talk about and post about. I'm really basic, so
Ain't nothing wrong with being basic, girl. Matter of fact, you ain't basic. You just great. You ain't basic because you are a priority. Hello. So, and you always got to know your worth, which you do know your worth as always. You got to always bet on yourself. I remember you always say, you took the chance going from D2 to like D1, which is like the leap of faith. So,
yeah.
remember you did say that. And speaking of faith, I noticed you're really huge in the Word of God. So if you had to describe your journey, especially within the basketball world, what scripture would describe your journey?
Proverbs 16:9, and that's the first tattoo I got, and I got it right before I left for Biola, going out of high school. It means we can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps, and that was just huge for me because I knew that that's not what I had planned for myself to go to a D2. But God knew my end goal, and He basically just said, "Well, this is what I need you to do first. This is my plan for you." So I had to trust in it and know that He, like, He's going to make it the right way. I wasn't probably ready to go Division 1, or maybe I could have been that player that had to transfer down. So he was like, "This is the path for you," and you just have to trust it. And now looking back, it's so true because I can see like where I am now and just be grateful. And I'm grateful for my journey. Like everyone has their own story, and this is mine.
I know that's right. Because Lord knows, I was just saying to someone that, we all have our desires and plans that, we probably listed like, I want to do this by this age. And then it's like, God, look at your plan like, ha, no, or saying not yet. So, um, how would you say, how do you balance, with your time with the word as well as academics and athletics? How are you able to balance all those?
Yeah, so I've definitely grown. Like, I know being a freshman, I went to a Christian university and I still wasn't consistent with opening my Bible and just reading it. I didn't even go to church on Sundays. Like, it's crazy to think that you could be in that environment. Like, we were required to go to chapels 20 a semester, but I feel like when you are like forced to do something like that, like you don't learn as well. So when I came here to A&M, like it's a completely different atmosphere, partying every weekend and all that stuff. But this is really where I was able to grow in my faith. So last year towards the end, like in the second semester is when I started it, I was writing in my journal every day and reading my Bible. So I would just, read the word and then I would just write out my prayer and just spend that quiet time or listen to Christian music and really just have that alone time. Like for me, it's been difficult, like to just sit and find that time and be alone. And it's not always something I want to do, but every single time after, I'm so happy I did that. So I've really been trying this year, and I know like that's what I need. So making that a habit, and then also going to Bible study. We have Bible study every Tuesday night. Wasn't able
Hey,
to go tonight, but
oh, I'm sorry.
oh, this is my fault for scheduling. But it is hard too because it's right when we get out of practice. It's like practice Bible study, but it's really been great. Some of the other girls on the team are big Christians, and just having like those people around you, even if it's a few, like it encourages you to go. And I just love what I've seen at A&M and our team. Like it was three of us going to church, just going to church. And now we have like 12 people from the team that will go to church every Sunday when we don't have practice. Like yeah, before we didn't have practice on Sundays, but now we have them. But when we don't have practice, like everyone's there. And it's just so great to see God work in a team like that. And I just want to continue to see that grow. We even have like, so for Bible studies on Tuesday nights, like we'll even have some of the men's team that start to go and like, oh, you're a Bible study. And like, I just love to see that in people that don't know Jesus wanting to come to him and just being that light. So you never know what others are seeing you, and like if they see you and how you live your life, and they're gonna want to live like you too, just seeing that you know God like that. And so it's just so powerful, and I just really want to continue to like use my platform in that way. Like I don't care about these followers. Like yeah, it's great, it's cool, you set your goals that you want to hit, but I feel like the reason God is putting me in this position is to just spread his word, because who cares about me? I'm a nobody, but he's giving me that platform to share about him.
That's amazing to hear that, especially like going from 3 people to now 12 people. And then, you guys set an example to where now the men's team are coming and say, oh, that's what's up. Like, it's, it reminds me of that, the parable of the mustard seed that grows to the mustard tree, like, with the faith, when you have a faith of a mustard seed to goes to the mustard tree. Like that's, and what you described to me, how you like able to like use your platform and then the word and then have people like do what you do. Like it, the scripture that comes to my mind when you describe that is 2 Timothy 1:7, as well as 4 Timothy 1:12, like where, as a, some people look at other people like based on age to be leaders. However, you could be youthful and still be a leader, by how you walk with God and stuff. Like age does not have, age doesn't define who you are as a leader, but it's how you walk with it is, you set an example. Like don't despair on who looks down on you, because you doing what you need to do. So
Yeah. And I just think there's just so many different ways to lead, and like this kind of correlates with on the court too as well. So being an upperclassman, I thought this year my role was to, be loud. I need to, yeah, everyone, needs to talk more and everything, but I thought I needed to be that leader. And so what we have ran into issue on our team is, everyone's trying to be that voice, and sometimes you have to follow. So just understanding like your gift and what God gives you. I've always been more of a quiet person. So when I like started off this year, I realized I had to be humbled. Like I'm talking too much. Like I need to, do what I do best. And what I've always done best is working hard and leading by example in my actions. So I really realized that, yeah, like you got to stick to the gift that God gives you. And yeah, it was a really humbling moment for me. Um, but yeah, everybody has to have those.
That's awesome. Like you just described it so perfectly. Like, you know, and how sometimes the quiet people be the best leaders because at least you listen. And I was just telling somebody like sometimes James 1:19 states, be quick to listen and slow to speak and slow to anger because I always say, God gave us two eyes and two ears and one mouth for a reason to observe and listen more than we, talk. So, but sometimes the quiet leaders they speak the loudest and how they, you know, so, you know, what would you say, how would you say that your relationship with God has made an impact outside of the sport too. Like, how has it changed your life?
I just realized the closer I get to God, the more good things that will happen in my life. Like realizing that we're nothing without Him and we need Him. So it's really easy, to turn to God when everything's going wrong, but you also have to remember to praise Him through all the good stuff too. And once you start getting on the high and getting on the mountaintop and everything, like you have to always remember where it came from. But yeah, it's just impacted my life. And like I said, like really distributing the word out to other people, I feel like is so important. And you just have to spread that kindness. And I feel like there's a lot of negativity and hate and stuff on social media. And I feel like we just need to bring more light to that and spread that positivity.
You right. Because as women too, we often feel like we have to be in competition with each other every time, but it's like we fight in the same race. We got to fight harder, 10 times harder than our male counterparts. And, we got to empower women. So, we have to be able to give each other flowers because, you know, we have to. We got to be able to be, like you said, be kind and spread love. And speaking of which, um, and I know with the basketball season coming too as well. I know, like get keeping the flow going with you. Um, how can people be more aware of HBCU sports, but more importantly, women in sports?
I would say just caring about it. And I feel like this past season, with all the women's basketball, and especially the championship, with LSU and Iowa State, like that really just that brought like attention to it. And so I feel like there should be a level of respect now. So yeah, and just caring honestly, like I really love the support from my school and just having people to come to our games and stuff because women's basketball, like we put in just as much work as the men's team. And like if you think about it, women's programs are usually more structured and there's more like fundamentally sound things because boys are more athletic and they can get away with a lot of stuff. But when you look at women's teams, it's very structured and you have to be disciplined on all the little fundamental things. So I just think that it's getting better with more like respect. I just hope it continues, and I hope that the young players looking want to be in our positions too.
It's you would hope too with with the women's side. Everybody says support women, yes, but do you hope, like, how you probably see some of the women athletes, go to the men's games. Do you hope that to see more of happening vice versa, where the men's can come to like the women's games too, instead of like saying they'll go and then just leave when we usually stay through the whole game of theirs. So
I know, like being a player in high school, like I always wanted that because every time the girls team, like we always would stay and watch them. But I really think like definitely this year with the men's team that they have, like everyone's really cool. We'll hang out with them too, and so it's like a different dynamic. And yeah, so I'm really excited about that. They care and they'll support us.
that's awesome. And then I know you're so when it comes to student athletes, I noticed that mental health is really a huge topic. How important is mental health to you, and how would you hope that, say, NCAA actually take student athletes' mental health seriously?
Yeah, I think it's definitely been more serious. I mean, our team even got a therapist for just like athletics specifically, and before you have to go to, the general person for the whole school. But yeah, mental health is really important, especially just with all the rigorous, practices you have to go through and just the crazy schedules, especially once season starts. Like you're practicing every single day. You have one off day, yeah, like I just hope to see people take it more seriously and really just I would like to see more people like making it available and just knowing that you have people that are there for you instead of saying it one time at the beginning of the year, you never touch on it again. Like that's definitely happened a lot. So yeah, I hope people just take it more seriously and find that, the empathy for student athletes.
Yes, because I honestly feel for you guys. Like, I mean, I was a manager, but to see the hard practices, the weight room, the student study hall, like, and people are like, they got scholarships, they got everything paid for, and it's like, no, no, no. So, to the folks, how would you tell them, like, what would you break down the misconception of being a student athlete?
Yeah, but like I'll just touch on what you said about like a scholarship, like, and I know it's cool and to say that you play a college sport, but there's a reason there's only like a select few that are in that position. Like it is so difficult and you have to navigate that. Like even seeing the newcomers and like freshmen come into the program, it's like, yeah, wow, like, I didn't expect all of this. And so I feel like if you haven't been in a student athlete's shoes, like you don't really have room to talk and say stuff like that because there's a lot that goes on, especially at the Division 1 level, having coaches always saying something like it you can feel torn down, like you don't even know how to play basketball anymore. Like it can be that serious. And I know, and I'm only at a small Division 1 school, so I can imagine what it's like at the higher level D1s. And it's a job, so like coaches are trying to win games. So it you can't imagine like what's going on in practice. Like you have to do anything it takes, and you have to just be mentally prepared for all of that. So yeah, I would just say just know that student athletes definitely don't have it easy, and you're really special to be able to push through something like that. But it's a great feeling too, and like you'll feel accomplished. You'll feel accomplished.
So, well, I mean, the scholarships you mentioned is very too limited because, you know, with certain programs like women's programs in colleges, you know, it's on the brink. At times it's on the brink of being cut if, say, the coach doesn't do well with the season. So it's like, oh, but when it comes to men, it's like y'all could get away with losing seasons and still get the support. So but you made a point too, like with women's sports, with back in the NCAA tournament, the viewership was huge. was huge, and it was more viewed than the men's, NCAA tournament in the finals. So you would think that, more people would support us, but it's like, how can we, how can we just continue to push women's sports? Like, how many times do we have to continue to push women's sports until we get heard?
Yeah, I feel like it's just in due time, and everyone in the like female basketball players just need to keep doing what they're doing, and I feel like we'll eventually get that reward. But it's definitely coming up, and yeah, I just want to see that support too from other females, and just build each other up. Yeah, and I think that men should definitely support. They should support the games and everything, because that will also help bring other people. They'll be like, oh, the men's team, like, oh, they care about this. Like, oh, I want to go. I want to go support and watch.
So, so my question is too, like, I know with a huge following you got, and I know you got a lot of fans and supporters. What are some ways that somebody could support you, whether they want to represent you, like with merch and stuff, or how can they support you?
Um, I have merch coming soon, new merch. And then also with this new brand I'm working with, it's just an exclusive page where you can ask me questions directly and just have conversations and see exclusive content. So I would love when that comes out for everyone to follow me on there. And then also you could join my broadcast channel on Instagram and see that. So
I remember seeing that you had a what's it called, NIL with Meta, I believe. So how did that go?
it was good. Yeah, it was really just a learning period where we would discuss NIL things with other student athletes, and like I said, with that connection, and it is a great way to empower other athletes. It wasn't only just basketball players; it was all sorts of female athletes in college, and everyone has gained their respect and have accomplished a lot. So it was good just to meet everyone, and then meet the team on Meta as well.
Would you say you able to like form, besides forming connections, like form like great relationships outside of sports with them?
Yes, like definitely on the phone calls, like the individual phone calls I had with the team, like we would talk about other things, and it was just really important because basketball doesn't last forever, and it's definitely more than just a sport.
So speaking of more than a sport, what would you say are some of the things that you love to do outside of it that you're passionate about?
I really like exploring and nature and everything. So I like to go around Huntsville and look at the mountains and just take walks, enjoy God's beautiful creations and everything. So I've always been like that ever since I was a kid. Like we would go on vacation, we would go on hikes, go to the water. I love being by the water. Now it's cold, so
Girl, the mother nature weather be just, it'll go hot or cold. It's like
Mhm.
it doesn't know what to do. I be
Right.
wondering if it's leftover summer because it ain't fall. It's leftover summer weather. So
Mhm.
so I remember what's it called? There was so much that you were very skillful with a lot of things. I remember I think you knitted before.
Yes, I crochet. I like making blankets. It's just like a nice big task for me to do. So, I'll just do a little bit here and there. And then I'll have my blanket. It's been a couple months because, I don't do it all the time, but it's definitely a nice little relaxation thing. I like laying in my bed doing that, just listening to music.
What's your go-to music, like especially for game days?
For game days, I like to listen to like my old high school playlist before game days.
What?
It's so like nostalgic. I just love that. Some Kevin Gates on there. Who else on there? That's the main one. His songs are my favorite pregame songs. But I also like to listen to my Christian music. Like that's all I've been listening to recently.
Real, who's your like top 5 Christian music artists that you like listen to the most?
I would say Brandon Lake, all the Elevation Worship. I love their music. Lauren Daigle, Battistelli, um, KB, and the Christian rap. Um, who else? I got too many good ones.
You listen to Lecrae?
I listened to some of his songs that he's like featured in. Who else? Corey Osbury, Torrin Wells.
Oh, he's good.
Um,
Corin Hawthorne?
Said who?
Corinne Hawthorne?
What does she sing?
Won't he do it? He say he will. It used to be on the Greenleaf soundtrack, and then she did Unstoppable.
Yes. Yeah.
And then she did a song with Jonathan McReynolds called Peace. It's really good. So, but Jonathan
French. You said
Jonathan McReynolds is really good. If you ever get a chance to listen to him, he's a really good Christian artist.
I think he's in here. Yeah, I just have my whole playlist and I like adding songs to it. So.
If there was, what would you say if there was a Christian song that kind of describes your mood? Which one would it be?
This is the song "Hope in Front of Me." I've been listening to that a lot. Like I'll listen to that song on repeat. But yeah, just knowing like that daily reminder that God's always got you, like no matter what, and just like basically like a lot of the songs is just you don't have to fear, like give all your worries to Him, and it's just such a great message, and listening to that just helps my day. Like I don't want to listen to hard rap music that's literally talking about nothing good. Like sometimes it's fine, but at the end of the day, it's like you got to realize what you're saying and everything. So, yeah, that's why I just really enjoy listening to my Christian music.
It's like everything that is like you got to discern what's good and what's not good for the soul. Is what you're like kind of in that path.
Yeah.
Because it's I ain't gonna lie, like I listen to a lot of stuff, and then that Christian music, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to my Christian music in the morning so I could get a little lifted up. Then I'll go on my day and see what's going on. So, but I would say this though, for like just to hear your story too, it's just amazing because like I think, and I know that you have inspired a lot of people. So, if you had to tell like your younger self what to expect in the future, what would you tell her?
It's a big one. I would definitely say like you always have to be confident in yourself because just knowing like where I'm at right now, and I always wanted this. My dad always said when you were little, all you would say was, "I just want to be famous. I just want to be popular, or whatever." As a little kid, dancing for the screen. It was always like singing and dancing type stuff. But just knowing all the hate that you can get and like what other people can say, you can't let that affect you. Like you just have to keep on your path and like don't get discouraged by things. Because honestly, like I feel like I can't relate to a lot of people, or like they can't relate to me when I have to explain like how it feels sometimes. And just knowing like what my name is on this campus and stuff, just like knowing like a lot of people have their eyes on you too, and you're not gonna be perfect. You can't just like act. You just gotta act like yourself. But like just having people always say something about you, or like if you do something wrong, like mess up, it's like there's always eyes on you, and people always have something to say. So just not letting that affect you, because it's just because of your like the spotlight that's on you. So yeah, it's just I feel like I would just tell myself, don't let that stuff affect you, and know why you're doing this, and that you are inspiring other people and that's what you're doing it for. But there's always going to be that negative side. The bigger you get, the more negative you're going to get. And that's just natural. That's just what comes with it. So don't let that affect you.
You seen that? Like, do you feel like you've received those at times, or you seen that every day and stuff? Like that type of energy?
Yeah, I definitely do. And like, you would be surprised. It's more the people that are close to you because it's like people that like know you that are just like, oh, it's just she's whatever. Like I know her, but then when I have other people come up to me, this is what like encourages me honestly, and like everybody that follows me on social media, like I don't think they realize how important and like what that does to me when I see their comments and they're just like love. Because someone the other day like came up to me, it's like everyone always talks about you, like everyone just loves you, and like I almost cried because I was like I that day I did not feel it at all. Like I really thought everyone was against me, like everyone hates you. And so just like having that positivity just like really like melts my heart because I don't really see it. And yeah, I don't think about that. Like it's easy to, focus on the negative stuff sometimes and it's like, dang, like this is how people feel about me. So yeah, I would say it kind of happens regularly, which is sad, but I mean, you just kind of learn to deal with it and block it out because it's really nothing. It's just people wanting to talk about something, talk about you. I mean, it's useless.
Well, when you're successful, people will find a way to talk about you, talk to you, and stuff. But you know, they always say there's a saying that strangers be supporting you the most more than somebody that knows you the longest or known you. So, and you know, how would you deal? How do you like say if somebody experienced something like that? How would you tell them to respond? How would you? What type of advice would you tell them to respond? Like, how would you respond to that?
I would say don't entertain it. And if someone says something to you, like little jabs, like honestly, just ignore it because they're trying to get a reaction out of you. Like that's their main purpose, get a reaction. And so just gotta, well, pretend like it doesn't affect you. And then, that will become the reality. Even if like, you're like, dang, that really hurt. But if you don't give any attention to it, it just goes out your mind. Like, that's that. So yeah, don't entertain stuff. Don't try to have arguments with other people. Like just stay humble and understand the reason people are doing it. And if you are the one to like react and start talking about it, then they're gonna have more reasons to say something. So it's just like don't entertain stuff.
I also just realized too, and I'm pretty sure you and correct me if I'm wrong, as hoopers, as beautiful person in that hoops, you see, you probably see a lot of people like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. Oh my gosh, like have like huge crushes on you and stuff. Like, what would you say? Um, how would you like respond to people that like say they would make like say TikToks of like the baddest hoopers of like, and they'll have your picture on like their TikToks. How would you respond to that? Like, if you see,
Oh, yeah, when I see it, I'm just flattered, and I'll like the post or whatever, and just so people know I'm not gonna be Hollywood pretend like I didn't see it. Like I'm really grateful for that. Like little stuff like that makes you feel good. So.
yeah, especially like we. I feel like. Do you feel like at times, when it comes to sports, like especially for women, do you feel like there's like a stigma to where um, beauty gets involved to where it's like like a contest, like who looks the most beautiful and who looks like the stigma, like the pretty privileged stigma, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely think that's true, and I've definitely okay. And then coming to a HBCU, I saw it the most. Um, But yeah, and then people will assume like I know on TikTok, like I'll post whatever and they'll be like, oh, okay, but can you actually play basketball? Like, are you actually good and all that stuff? Like, let's see the highlights. It's like, you can do both. Like, we're still females. We can still look cute before our game. We put makeup on before our game. Like, I think that's what's really cool and special about female sports. Like you can look good and get down and work hard and go hoop. Like yeah.
Hey, confidence is key. Confidence is queen. Hey, so you gotta let them know because you know we could still be pretty and still hoop. And, we could get down and dirty just like all the dudes. And of course, say if guys find out that say we hoop or you hoop, they're like, "Hey, you trying to play one on one?" Like, and they, those like pickup lines, like, "Hey, you trying to play one on one like love and basketball?" I'm like,
Uh, the
it's the
amount of times I've heard that I just can't anymore. If you want to get someone's attention, if you want to get a female hooper's attention, do not ask to play one on one because the odds of her, she probably got asked that 20, 30 other times.
girl. And then they be the same ones that failed gym class because they didn't want to change into gym clothes.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm just saying, like the folks that be like that, especially the guys that like they said, man, girls can't play no ball. I'm like, you
It's so
probably
play.
you probably be the same ones that go in the rec center and saying I got next and you don't get picked up. So I'm just saying, I've seen so many the time I'm you like the I got next person and you don't get picked up. Like there's a reason why you're not getting picked up. You just you know.
Yeah,
But
that's my case in point of why you can't entertain stuff like that because it's like, what are you talking about?
man, so as you know, bona fide means certified, just authentic and you being authentic. How would you like describe yourself? What makes you bona fide and what makes you stand out from everyone else?
I would definitely say my story, and then also coming from a small town, and not being, you know, like majorly recruited and having to find my own way. And then what we were just talking about too, like I do like to, be cute, do my makeup before a game and then be down and ready to go. Like so I think that's cool. And I know my dad always talked about that. Like he's like, still, be a female. Like you could be pretty and play basketball. So like I always, when he said it too, like I really it encouraged me to, be that player. And yeah, I just love where I'm at right now.
Sounds like you know, your father is like a huge, impact and inspiration for you in your life in sports. Would you say that?
Yes, my dad's definitely my biggest inspiration. He's how I started playing. So he's the one that just passed that passion down to me.
So like, and I remember, how excited do you get to see, your family get a chance to see you play? Especially, is this your last year or like your second
I
close
have
last?
one more year after this.
Oh, okay. So how important and excited is it to see your family just watch you like elevate, just to especially the leadership role that you're taking this year?
Yeah, I love when my family comes and supports me. They've been at every single game for my whole, all elementary, middle school, high school, and then when I went to California, it was a little difficult. They watch every game online, but they only got to come to one game, one or two games in person. So, but I'm just so grateful to have them. And now that I'm closer to home, I'm 10 hours, not 22. So they like to come to more games, and they were just there at our last game at Colorado State. So it was just great knowing that they're in the stands, and it just like let me let go on the court and just be like, this is so cool. Like I'm really over here living my dream. Like who cares, honestly, the outcome of the game, but like you really have to just understand like living in the moment and being the present. Like I'm over here playing in Colorado. I could just look up in the stands and see my family right there supporting me.
Oh,
Like that's all I've ever wanted. So I just love that.
hey, you right about that. Live in the moment. today, you gotta live for today, and because tomorrow has its own moments. So just that's wonderful to hear because I remember like in because where you're from is close to Alabama, correct? Like 10 hours.
Yeah.
So that's more convenient than like say 22 hours from there to California. So that's so for so if you had to challenge yourself for this year, like I know your goal is to win a SWAC championship and make it to March Madness. Do you like what's the biggest goal like beyond college basketball for you?
After next year, after I graduate, I want to play overseas. That's always been a dream, and I feel like that would seal my basketball, goals and dreams and everything. So I really want to go overseas to a Spanish speaking country and, just uh, become fluent in Spanish because I've taken like 8 years and it's also like my outside passion. So then after that, I want to come back to the States and hopefully be a Spanish teacher. Right now, I'm doing Spanish tutoring. So I really wanted to do that this year so I could be able to get in the flow and see if it's actually something I really want to do. So,
That's
yeah.
cool. And Spanish is like the first most like second language in the United States. So and I'm trying to think, you got Spain, Mexico, a lot of South America. So. I was trying to think of what countries in like Spanish countries would that like countries would you love to play for? Like what Spanish countries would you love to play for?
I mean, all of South America is really Spanish speaking, like I said. Then Spain, Puerto Rico, Costa Rica. I think that would be cool. My dad played a little bit in Costa Rica, so
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
Now I see where the passion came from.
Yes.
So, what would you say? And you say you want to be a Spanish teacher, like when you outside of basketball.
Yeah. I would want to be an elementary school Spanish teacher. I would like to work with kids and everything. And I feel like it's just a basic level and understanding. And I really like over the years grasped that concept. And I was like, yeah, it's always been my passion. Like that's always been my favorite class. So.
So, how important is it for people to realize, like, because I just realized you love kids. Like, how is it to, there's always those kids' day games. How meaningful is it to see the youth and the younger generation to watch you like do what you love?
Yeah, I just think it's so inspirational and like we're doing it for a bigger reason. And just know that like these kids will look up to you. And when you were a kid, like you were watching someone too. So I think it's just important too to show like your attitude and everything and how you carry yourself on the court as well. Just because like the youth, you want to see them, strive and like want to be in your position. Like you don't want them to be like, oh, that's just negative. That's just negative energy and everything on the court. But yeah, that's my favorite thing. And just kids are just so easily like they're just sponges, like they're looking at older people and what they want to be like. So I just love that. And kids, I feel like are just in that developmental stage, and I just want to be a part of that with them.
Do you see like do you see yourself like along with teaching Spanish? Do you see yourself like maybe coaching too with the kids in basketball, especially if they have like love seeing you play?
Yeah, I definitely would. I thought about coaching too as well, and like if I didn't play, overseas right away, or maybe when I come back after, like I would like to be like a grad assistant or something like that, just to be still in the basketball world because that is obviously my number one passion. Um, but yeah, I think coaching would be great. My dad coached me, and he just always had that passion. I did this camp, and the coach was like, "You're really good at this." So I'm like, I think that just all comes from my dad. Honestly, he just passed it down, and I didn't even know I had that in me. So yeah, I just find so much joy in it too. So yeah.
Girl, I can see the Christ living in you, like low, like high key. I can see that God glowing in you, like so. And this is my question too. Like, say if a kid or an athlete like around your age wants to know how to, build a relationship, better relationship with God, like what would you, how would you teach them?
I would just say just to sit down and open your Bible, or if you're curious about a certain topic or something that's going on in your life, just say, what does God say about this? Like, just type it in on the internet and find scripture to back it up. Um, I know that Psalms is very easy to understand, and I constantly go back to Psalms and just read that. And that's definitely a good book in the Bible to start with. And that's what one of my teammates told me, because I did not read the Bible before coming to A&M at all. So you can always start somewhere. Um, but yeah, and then also I would say if you have other people, going to Bible study, just try to get involved with that. And it's great, especially like just going with your teammates and just people that are close to you. And I would say try to find a church and just go consistently, and then you're gonna realize like how good that is and what it does to you. So
Y'all have like a FCA at A&M?
mm-mm,
What?
no, we just have these two Bible study groups.
A Bible study is always good though, for real, for real.
Yeah,
Especially when you can be able to connect. Like, I feel like connection and networking is the big thing in this topic. Like, you know, you get to see other people's journeys, like how did they got their walk started, and sometimes accountability also plays a part too, because sometimes we can misstep in our walk of God, if that makes sense. But at least you have those people that are willing to help you.
yeah, and it's just good to surround yourself with people like that, like-minded people, and those are gonna be your closest friends too. If you can grow in faith with them, then you know that you have them, and they're gonna have your backs.
So, and then before like we get done with this, I know how would you oh, biggest topic here too. With so many people that love sports, they always, we have people that, that voice, their story, voice like something that matters more to them than just the sports. And then you have the fans that are like, why don't you just hush and just dribble? How do you respond to those that feel like that you are only like just for them to entertain and they don't see you as human? Like
Oh, yeah, I feel like that definitely happens a lot, and like people will definitely just see you as a basketball player or as a sport. Um, but you have to realize, yeah, we're just normal students too, and we have those obligations. And yeah, I think that also could happen a lot with coaches too, and like it's easy to forget that just because of the mental toughness you have to have, and people not showing their emotions as much. But yeah, I think it's important just to like understand that and not do that to people, because yes, they're performing on the court, yes, they're doing all this stuff, but you also have to remember we're not perfect either, and we're gonna make mistakes. Not gonna have game like every single game, you know. So.
can how can one provide, say, that safe space for like student athletes? How can one like say provide that great safe space for student athletes to be able to open up? Because I know it's not easy to open up, especially with the mental toughness. If that makes sense.
I just think it's important to have people around you that are willing, like, care about your well being and just ask you questions and just check on you to see if you're okay. Because, yeah, like you said, when you're just mentally tough and you have to go through stuff every day, like, you're not going to want to open up. Like, you're just going to deal with it. So, if you have somebody that's like there, like constantly asking you, maybe the first time, if you're somebody's friend, professor, coach, therapist, and you're like, what's wrong? Are you okay? The first time maybe they're not gonna say anything, but like if you keep showing that you care, like that's important. Like everybody wants someone like that in their life.
Especially like, you could be the happiest person in the world, but where's like, is someone gonna check on me? Like, is someone like I need help too? But we're so like sometimes it seems like some people are, I know for me, I'm scared to ask for help just because it's like I try to do everything on my own. And I feel like if I ask for help, I may seem weak and I don't want to feel like, did you ever feel that way at times? Like where if you ask for help, you feel like I have to do this everything on my own?
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely felt that a lot with last year. Like it was definitely hard with like the transition and everything. Not only going up a level, but also just the environment and something completely different that I never expected. But I'm the same way. Like I feel like you're considered weak or whatever, and like if I do cry or whatever, it's not very often. It's just like, oh my, what are you doing? But like it's okay. You just have to know that it's okay, and you're gonna go through like tough times mentally too, and you can't just like overlook that. So
For sure. Like, you know, tough times don't last, but tough people do. And then, I've always, there's a thing that I always believed was God can turn your trial and tribulations into a testimony, your struggles into salvation. So like he could turn like your struggles, your negative struggles into like something positive saying, look, there's a blessing behind every situation, regardless if it seems like something bad happened, but something great can happen too.
yeah, and I feel like if you just trust God through that process, like knowing you're in the storm, but knowing that God has something good for you on the other side, like if you're able to go through it and still keep God with you and always constantly talking to Him, then you can get through it. So.
Amen. Let them know. Amiah with the word. Hey, hey, girl, you hitting them with the word and the message. That girl, I tell you, it's that guy glowing. Better recognize it. Period. But before we end, can you let the folks know how they can find you, and do you have anything else coming up, like your games and what to look for in the future?
Yeah, so we play our first home game on Saturday against Tennessee Tech. Super excited for that. You can follow me on Instagram at Amiah Simmons with two S's at the end. And then my TikTok is Amiah Papaya. And then you also can follow my spam for more content at Amiah Papaya as well. So, yes, and then my Cash App is Amiah Simmons.
Hey, let them know. Hey, hey, invest in women, y'all. Pay women. Gotta get our coins. Let them know we deserve the respect and we earned it. Period. So, thank you so much, Amiah, for coming on Bonafide Her Podcast. It's truly amazing. You're truly amazing and a blessing. I want to let you know that. Just always remember you're appreciated and loved and a blessing. So, and just keep going and good luck this season. Thank you for guys tuning in to Bonafide Her Podcast, giving women in sports and female athletes a voice to shine their light and share their story because it's her time to shine. Y'all enjoy.